Sage CRM provides a wizard that walks new users through configuration of settings that control the way information is displayed and how some features behave. While the wizard is very helpful in getting a new user underway, it doesn't cover all of the options available to you. In this tutorial, we'll lead you through the options not covered by the wizard. So let's jump right in and get started. If you haven't run through the User Preferences wizard, you should do so before configuring the options that we're going to show. So let's make sure you know where to find the wizard. You'll find it in My CRM under the Quick Start tab, and the wizard link is in Step 2, and again, it'll walk you through the basic User Preferences setup. So now we'll assume that you've completed the wizard and you're ready to set some more advanced preferences. You'll find most of the preference options in My CRM on the Preferences tab. To see the whole screen, we'll minimize the coaching panel and scroll down a bit. The options highlighted in yellow are the ones not covered by the Setup wizard, and they're the ones that we'll focus on in this tutorial. So let's hit Change and walk through these items. Let's start with the Recent List options. If you're not familiar with the Recent List, it's the time-saving button in the top left corner that remembers where you've been in Sage CRM. If Empty Recent List for each session is set to No, then it will retain your history between logins, which is our recommended setting. Currently, the list is set to open when we click, but you can change this to open when hovering over the button. And we have the same click and hover options available for the pop-out list. The pop-out list refers to the contextual menus under each of the left side menu buttons. So let's hit Save and look at the behavior of the recent and pop-out lists with these settings. Note that you may need to log out and back in for this change to take effect. And here you can see that the recent list pops up when we roll over the button. And when we right-click on the menu icons, the pop-out lists appear. Now back to Preferences. If you need access to solutions in your company's knowledge base, then select Yes for Show Solutions. And if you're assigned to outbound telemarketing campaigns, select Yes here as well. And upon saving, we now have a tab for outbound call lists and for solutions in My CRM. So let's go back to Preferences, hit Change, and look at Default Email Address. This applies if your system administrator has allowed you to send email from other accounts. So for example, if you're a customer service representative, you might use a generic email address as your default, such as support@panoplytech.com. Now let's move on to the Report Print Preview settings. Here you can set the default page size and the orientation for printing reports. On-screen coaching refers to the instructions that appear at the top of most screens in Sage CRM. Let's hit Cancel to take a look at the on-screen coaching for the Preferences screen. And remember that earlier we minimized the coaching panel, so now we'll maximize it with the Min-Max button. So let's go back and look at our display options for on-screen coaching. We have On, Off, Minimized, and Customized. On, Off, and Minimized are obvious, so let's look at Customized. Customized lets you turn coaching on for some screens and minimized on others. So let's leave coaching on for the Preferences screen, and we'll minimize it on the Cases tab, and you can see that the settings stick as we toggle back and forth. Let's hit Change and move to Hide CTI on Idle. This option is applicable if you're using computer telephony integration with Sage CRM. If so, this setting controls the display of the CTI call screen. And next are some calendar display settings. Single column calendar is currently set to Yes, and opening the calendar in Day View, you can see that in single column mode, overlapping appointments will be listed together in the same time slot. Let's go back to Preferences and change the setting to No. And we'll hit Save, and returning to the calendar, notice that the overlapping appointments now appear side by side in their own columns, similar in style to Outlook. Returning to Preferences, the next setting allows you to choose the maximum number of columns that will be allowed when you have overlapping appointments, and 4 should be more than most people will need. And now let's move on to Full Menu in Outlook. This setting requires that you've enabled Sage CRM's Outlook integration which was the subject of a previous tutorial. Let's set it to Yes and click Save, and to understand what it controls, let's jump over to Outlook. Now we'll open Sage CRM within Outlook by clicking one of the CRM folders. Notice that because we've set Full Menu to Yes, the left side menu is present just like when we're using Sage CRM in a browser. Let's log off the Outlook view, and now going back to Preferences, we'll hit Change, and let's select No and click Save. Now returning to Outlook, clicking any one of the CRM folders will pop up the login window. And notice that the left side menu is now gone. In place of the menu, you navigate using Outlook's folder tree. If you're cramped for space, you might want to operate in this mode without the menu. Let's return to Preferences and look at Preferred Theme. This controls the graphics and color scheme of the application. Let's change it to Sage Green, hit Save, and we'll need to log off and back in to see the effect. Let's return to Preferences and reset it to default, and again, we need to save, then log out and back in for it to take effect. And going back to Preferences, let's move to the Date/Time panel and look at Calendar Start, End, and AM/PM. The calendar start and end times are applicable to the day view, and let's set the start to 7:30 and finish at 6:30. Moving to AM/PM, setting this to No will display all time values on a 24-hour clock, and setting it to Yes will show the more familiar AM/PM format. So now let's save our changes and view the calendar. On the day view, notice the start time is now 7:30 and end, as we scroll down, is 6:30, and the time is displayed in the AM/PM format. And opening an appointment, notice that the start and end times on the meeting planner, denoted by the darker areas, also reflect the settings for the calendar start and end times of 7:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Let's close the appointment, return to Preferences, and hit Change. Now let's move to the Reminder preferences. Reminder messages are associated with tasks and appointments. Notice that different targets can be set up based on the priority that you set on a task or appointment. So let's take a look at an appointment to see the priority settings that are referenced here. We'll scroll up and click the Calendar tab and open an existing appointment. Reminders are enabled on an appointment or task by checking the Send Reminder message box, and then you have the option to set the priority to low, normal, or high, and we'll select normal. And then save, and we'll return to Preferences and scroll down to the bottom. So based on the normal priority setting that we just made on the appointment screen, a reminder message will be sent to our desktop email regarding the appointment. And that completes the setup of preferences beyond those covered by the User Preferences wizard. So to recap, Sage CRM allows you to have some control over the way information is displayed and how some features behave. So go ahead and configure your preference settings to best suit the way you work. Give us a call if you need assistance setting up your preferences or any other feature in Sage CRM. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Bye for now.